The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are coming to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. This is the home for Autism Live. It is also the home for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. We're really thrilled and excited to be here with you on this wonderful Thursday morning. We got a big show for you. I want to start by reminding you that this entire hour is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts, your feelings, your questions, your concerns, and you very likely will want to write in and talk to the guests that we have on the show. So Traven, the fabulous Traven, is going to show you some of the different ways that you can connect with us here. And while he does that, I want to remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. When you go there, there's a lot of different things to do. Don't get put off task, right? But let me point out that at the top of the page, there is a toy guide link that if you're looking for a toy for someone any age on the autism spectrum, we made our recommendations for 2019. We think that they're really stellar choices. I think you can find a lot of choices there. That's at the top of the page. You can search by text your question, or you can fill in the search bar to ask, I want to see all the videos that you have on toilet training, for instance, and then it will show you all the videos that we have. But below that, we've separated videos into categories for you so that you can search a category just if you just want to know recipes that we've covered here on the show. There's a playlist for that. There's a playlist just for Ask Dr. Doreen. There's a playlist just for highlights. There's a playlist for all the times we've had Temple Grandin on. So whatever way you like to search a topic, we hope that we've made it possible for you. If you have suggestions of a way that you would prefer, please write in and tell us, because we're always interested in knowing how you want to receive your information. And at the bottom of the page, there is a button that says chat. If you click on that button, it opens up a box and you can be talking with us almost in real time. There's about a 2-minute lag. So please feel free to write in there. There are lots of ways to write into us. And again, Traven's been showing them to us. Some of you like Facebook, some of you like YouTube, some like Periscope, and we've got more and more people on Twitter. All of those are great. But I will say that the difference when you communicate with us on our live chat is that no one knows who you are. You have complete anonymity. Anonymity. It's that kind of a day, folks. But you can chat with us any of those different ways. And I have to be honest, that's the thing that we love the most, is when you guys write into us and we have the opportunity to talk in real time. So please feel free to do that. Hey, I like to remind you on Thursday mornings that we have lots of experts that are on the show, and today I've got some amazing experts for you. You're really going to love them, and we want you to interact with them. But I always like to remind you that I am not an expert. You know what, and pretty much like in anything, I'm not an expert, but I'm definitely not an expert in autism. I used to say that I was an expert in my own kid, and we've proven that to be wrong. My son would take great exception to that. But here's what I am, is somebody, I'm a very proud autism mom. And I'm somebody, we just crested, it's been 14 years since my son got his first diagnosis. And it's over 10 years that I've been hosting shows about autism. So I'm somebody who has an informed opinion and who cares very much about you getting to the resources that you want. So please write in. Know that I'm not an expert, but if you want my informed opinion about something, I'm always happy to share it, way too happy to share it. But more importantly, I like to help find the path for you to get the answer that you need. So if there's something that you want to write in about, even if it's not the topic we're talking about today, write in and tell me, and I will go find the expert in that and get them on the show. How's that for a deal? And it doesn't cost you anything. And by the way, if you want to write to me on my own, you can write into me at s.penrod@autism-live.com. It's there on the screen. Thank you so much, Traven. So guess what? It's Thursday, and we like to start Thursdays with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to figure out what in the hey nani nani are those experts talking about, because I don't know about you, for me in the beginning, the jargon was the most overwhelming thing. I was like, seriously, I have to learn all this other new stuff, and I have to learn a new language. And sometimes it's so tricky because we have a word like today's where we've heard the word elopement before, and we all have an idea of what that is. But what it means within the context of autism or the context of autism and ABA, it can be vastly different. So we try to give you the actual definition, which sometimes we usually like to make fun of it, not today's. And then we give you the working definition, which a lot of times the experts break out into hives when they see our working definition. But it's something that helps us to begin to understand what it is without having a degree in advanced psychology, right? So today's term, and I could not believe it, Traven says that he doesn't think that we've covered this term before, and this was shocking to me. If we did, apparently it's been a long time. So today's term is elopement. And as I said, we've all heard this term before. I grew up in upstate New York, and whenever somebody said elopement, everybody said Niagara Falls, because it was where people went to elope. They went to go there to get married, and that's what I thought elopement meant. And the first time that somebody was talking to me in a very serious conversation about the fact that my child might elope, I was like, what are you talking about? He is 3. He is not going to Niagara Falls to get married, right? And I make light of this, but it's the most serious subject, right? So let's take a look at what our actual definition of elopement is. Elopement is when an individual with cognitive challenges or special needs wanders, runs away from, or leaves a safe environment without notice or permission. And this is a big term covering a lot of different people, but let's talk about it in conjunction with our folks on the autism spectrum. And notice I'm not making fun of today's definition, because this is something that we all need to be aware of. So put it up there again, Traven. Let's take a look at it. Notice that it doesn't have an age limit on it, right? Because the truth of the matter is that we have senior citizens who have Alzheimer's who are eloping. So know that, whether your child is 1.5 years or they are 24, they could be an elopement risk. So it's someone with a cognitive challenge or special needs wanders, runs away, or leaves a safe environment without notice or permission. And let's water it down just a little bit more. We always do a working definition. So let's go ahead and show them the working definition. Running away. And I know that is really watering it down because sometimes they're not running, but I wanted to make sure that people understand that elopement isn't necessarily a plan where they pack a bag and that they leave. We've had people featured on the show before. The wonderful Romario Snow, who is a wonderful, intelligent young man who is on the autism spectrum, but when he is around something sensory-wise that makes him feel unsafe, he runs. He is a runner. He's run the LA Marathon. And at one point, we've had him on the show, we've had his mom on the show to talk about the fact that something happened in a store. It made him have the feelings that he has, that he needed to run to get away from it. But by the time he stopped running, he didn't know where he was. And for 27 days, he did not know where he was, and his mother didn't know where he was. And we are so fortunate, and he is so fortunate, and his mother is so fortunate that on the 27th day, she found him. And that's incredibly lucky, because every day, somewhere in the world, a child with autism elopes. And not necessarily, I said child, but you know what? I'm going to stop myself. An individual with autism, because sometimes it's a teenager or an adult, elopes. And the statistics are horrible about how many of them we get back safely. The number one cause of death for individuals on the autism spectrum is drowning, and it is usually as a result of elopement. And the number 2 cause of death is being hit by a car, which is usually in the process of elopement. So this is a very serious subject, and when somebody is talking to you about the individual in your life that you love as a potential elopement risk, it is important that we not get squishy about it and think that somebody's going to Niagara Falls. I love Dr. Jonathan Tarbox, and he came on the show once and he said, I wish that caregivers of folks on the spectrum would realize that if your child could talk and if your child could say to you, when given the chance, I'm going to elope, what would you do? And that's what we should do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but this is an important term. Okay, moving on from this heavy subject, let's go to even worse. Let's move on to our question of the day, which is asking, and I think it's important that you guys write in because you know that there are people who are watching who have not considered this, that their child might. Have you or your child ever eloped? Have you? Because I know my son did, and it's the single most terrifying thing in the world. And I think that we as a community need to acknowledge how prevalent it is. The studies show that over half of our kids will elope at some point. And that if that doesn't give you pause, I'm here to remind you that it should give you pause. So please write in. You can write it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, or on our live feature, and so that other parents will see that your child has eloped. Or if you, and please, we welcome everybody here on the show. If you are an individual on the spectrum and you have eloped, please write in so that other people can see what was going on, why you eloped, what you were feeling, and how common that it is. Okay, we always have a topic of the week that we like to address, and I know this is going to seem discordant with what we just have been talking about, but this is why this is important. Our topic this whole week has been loving what is, and why this goes with elopement is because we need to accept where we are. And if you have a child that is at risk for elopement, you need to get on the page of accepting that and moving into what do we do to keep them okay. When we are in the phase where we're like, that's not happening, I don't want that to happen, I'm in denial about that happening, that's when we run the risk of something happening that we can't live with. So we will talk about that a little bit more as we continue on with the show, but we got some great guests for you today, some really wonderful guests. For the first time on the show, and I can't even believe that it's the first time of having her on the show, we have the amazing Andrea Watkins. She is a brilliant woman working in the field of education, having to do with special needs, and you are going to love her. We're going to be talking particularly with her about inclusion versus special day classes, but much to talk about with her. A little bit later on in the show, we are having a guest that we've had on before. Bob DeMarco is coming on the show, and he's got a wonderful new product, a place where parents can learn and anyone can learn through a video system. So we're going to talk with him about that. And he's bringing a guest, and I don't have that on my rundown, and I don't know why. So we will make sure that we tell you who that is a little bit later on. We're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to come back with the fabulous Andrea Watkins. Stick with us.
Hey, I'm Candace Cameron Bray.
Tom Bergeron.
You're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
You're watching Autism Live.
What is autism?
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 I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to just
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a rough one. Yes.
Autism.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
Always unique, totally intelligent, and
sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love. The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these 3 words. There is hope.
This is Logan Shepard. At first glance, he looks like a typical American teenager. He plays in a band, loves hanging out with his friends, he doesn't like doing homework, and he's not really fond of broccoli. But Logan Shepard is not your typical 14-year-old. Logan was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He was nonverbal, made no eye contact, and his parents were told to abandon all hope. Instead, his parents began an intensive intervention treatment. At its center was a quality ABA program known as the CARD method. This is Logan Shepard now.
All I really want to say is, like, I'm kind of copying Martin Luther King. I kind of have a dream, like, that one day, like, I can just, like, inspire people to never give up. Because, like, that's what I want to do in life. Because if I can succeed, they can succeed. And I will succeed.
To follow Logan's musical journey, visit www.facebook.com/officialdrummerrock or @drummerrock on Instagram. For more information on the CARD method, visit www.centerforautism.com or call 800-345-CARD. Rock on, Logan.
Do you provide care services to someone with autism? Recently, more and more children are being diagnosed with the condition and getting the support they need as awareness grows. But what happens to these children as they grow up? It's estimated that over 500,000 youth with autism will turn 18 in the next decade, and they'll be faced with a very difficult reality. As children with autism grow up, their services start to disappear or become very difficult to access. Things like medical care, mental health counseling, vocational training, and more. All services that are still desperately needed. The loss of support that youth with autism face as they grow up is so severe that it's referred to in the autism community as falling off a cliff. Adults with autism need the same level of support they had as children to avoid falling off the services cliff. Introducing Skills Living, the web-based software designed specifically to help transitioning youth and adults with autism so they can avoid the cliff and instead fly to success. With Skills Living, help your learner with autism develop the skills they need in all the critical areas of adult life, including self-control, planning, and problem-solving, effective communication, performing life skill tasks for independent living, acquiring and maintaining employment or other meaningful activities, developing and maintaining social skills and relationships, accessing transportation and public services, and being safe. Skills Living includes a comprehensive assessment, a data collection mobile app, behavior intervention plan builder, and automatic progress reporting. It also provides a complete curriculum addressing 16 key areas spanning the entire range of functioning adulthood. Skills Living is easy to use and can be implemented by schools, parents, and autism service providers. Call or click today for your free demo and see how Skills Living can help your learner with autism avoid the cliff and instead reach their fullest potential. Skills Living. Wish, learn, become.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We are welcoming for the first time Andrea Watkins, and I'm a huge fan of hers. She is an amazing expert in the field of education and autism, and she has a business, Learn to Learn.
Correct.
Yes?
I learned to learn, and
I learned to learn.
I learned to learn.
I should know that because I've written checks to her. Let's be honest about that. I should know that because and I'm going to let you tell a little bit about your background and all the places that you've been, but I Learn to Learn, people can hire you as someone to help their child with a subject or multiple subjects. They can come in and work on homework with you. I don't want to say tutor because that's not really what you do.
Fancy tutor, I like
fancy
to say.
tutor, like
tutor.
the educator when the hole is there and it's not being filled at school.
Correct.
Is really what she is. And my child has gone to her. Full disclosure, my child has gone to her, and she's nothing short of a miracle. So I'm a huge fan of her. But I'm also, because of what you did for my child, but I'm just a fan in general of your outlook on education, how caring you are for individuals on the spectrum, and how much first of all, you got a beautiful mind, and the things that she gets, when you pick up your kid from her, you come in and you sit in the little really squishy, wonderful, fabulous chairs that she has in her waiting area, and you can hear her working with the kids, and she's brilliant. Let's just say
Thank you so much. That's such a nice introduction.
Well, and I wouldn't say it if it weren't true, and I have firsthand experience. So. Tell them a little bit about your background and how you came to this point, so that because you have a pretty wonderful
journey.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to say, I started I was asked to volunteer for my daughter's kindergarten class, teaching a music and dance class. I played woodwinds and I studied dance for a long time, so I said, sure, why not? So I did a 30-minute segment, and. But that day I was offered 2 teaching positions with no credential. All I had was my bachelor's.
They recognized the brilliance. They were like, you came in to volunteer and they offered you 2 jobs?
2 jobs, yes.
Okay, well that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, in 1/2 hour. So, and interestingly enough, the 2 jobs were, very much in contrast. One was working with the inner city disadvantaged, underprivileged youth, and the other one was at Roscommere Road as a kindergarten teacher.
Okay.
I selected the inner city job.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because I felt like I wanted to be part of a solution to, I do have a passion and I do care, and I think that's one of the things I always say. You can't teach somebody to care.
Yeah.
And so the caring started very early on.
Yeah.
But after that, I worked in that inner city for several years, and it was a fabulous experience, and I enjoyed every minute of it. The kids, the music, the dancing. I mean, they made me a teacher right away. Once I got a sample of the writing and then started doing IEPs.
Yeah.
From there, I went to the help group, taught there, then became a mentor teacher, then an administrator, then procured programs, a director of camps. And some of my favorite things that I did there, and I have a long list of things that I did there, and I loved the work there, loved the work, was directing the Grease show that I did over the summer program, or decorating the auditorium and using all the kids' art projects for the different things. In addition to the music, putting on, teaching kids music or putting on plays or even teaching them dance.
Yeah.
So layering in all those things in addition to 250 IEPs a year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so from there, then I opened up, I decided to open up an office and provide the type of education that I feel works and makes progress, which is one-on-one learning for academics, for students with special needs.
Yeah.
And it's progress you can realize in a very short period of time.
Yes.
I don't have to give progress reports. I asked, do you want a progress report? No, thank you, I already can see it.
Yeah.
I don't need to prove anything.
Right.
They already see it.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of amazing, and I've noticed, because I know other people that bring their kids to you, that it's individual. Like some kids come to you one day a week, and some kids come to you multiple days a week, and some kids work on like multiple things, and other kids it's just a spot check for some things. So it's very for if you're in the Los Angeles area and you have a kiddo who's struggling with a subject or multiple subjects, I just highly recommend I Learn to Learn. So how would they reach you?
They can reach me by calling 818-257-0244.
Okay.
Or they can, I have a website, I Learn to Learn Academy.
And it's the number 2. I
It
learned
is,
two, the number
exactly,
2
it
one.
is.
Okay.
And they can find, I'm in Tarzana.
There we go. Okay, so we were asking you if you could come and talk with us a little bit about the inclusion versus special day class, because people write in all the time. I know a lot of our audience says, so which one is better? What do we do? You know, I always have an opinion, as I said, but here's the expert. So talk to us about inclusion versus special day class.
Okay, so in my experience, and research shows that inclusion done correctly, right, and we'll get into that, but inclusion does produce some of the best outcomes for students with special needs in an inclusive environment. And I don't care, and I know that districts and IEP teams like to point out those low scores in an effort to keep or exclude them from programs. But the law reads that you're entitled to an inclusive education. I don't care how low their COG score is, which is an arguable score, and that's a whole nother conversation, testing.
Yeah.
But they are entitled to the opportunities that are offered in an inclusive environment, the peers, the socialization, all that it implies. And they do have research that demonstrates that very same thing, that it is a better outcome for students.
Yeah.
So,
and I think I think that's a duh. Like, we should all understand that to be, although schools will argue everything but that.
Right.
But I would like to point out, too, that I think it's not just a better outcome for the individuals with special needs. I think it's a better outcome for everybody. When is ever secluding people and keeping them separate, when has that ever been the thing that's led to something good?
Yeah,
like, point to that in history for me, because I don't know when that ever is.
It is. It's a good point. And it does feel, the parents are very wounded, when they're trying to, move them to SDCs, and they want to believe that they're making, they're looking to them for solutions, and they're saying, oh, well, we'll get more help in that class, and but it's so, in my experience, the SDC class is not always what we think it is.
Yes.
Okay, and so unfortunately, and it is was very, as I administrated and supervised 36 people and numerous classrooms, it's very difficult to impress upon people. Again, I'm going to go circle back around to care and passion, talent, training. There's a lot of turnover. I mean, I'm not telling anybody anything new, but still the parents want to hold on to that and latch on to that. It's going to be better for my child.
Well, that's what we were told. Right. Most parents have not been in a classroom since they were in a classroom, right? So, and when you have a child with special needs, an expert comes to you and says, I know, but this is what's best for your child. Trust us, we're the experts. And I am a former teacher. I've been in classrooms, and I have been on both sides of the IEP table, and I'm just here to tell people you can't trust everybody in the classroom setting, especially the administrators.
Right.
There's some really good teachers, but the administrators, unfortunately, there are many of them. Don't let me say that they're all bad. They're not. There are some that are really good and have that caring, compassionate, and want what's best for the individual child. But it's a little bit of a puppy mill, and it's the bottom line, and what's this going to cost me? And I don't have enough people to do this. So it's just easier for them. It's not what's best for your child. I feel it's easier, but I'm taking you talk. You're the expert.
Well, no, and I agree with that perspective, because I think that's what finally was the catalyst for me leaving that environment, because I could no longer do what I was promising. You've got me doing intakes, you've got me doing tours, running programs, doing things at IEPs and promising certain things to parents. I could no longer do what they were asking me. I was only one person, no matter how hard I worked, and no matter how many hours I put in. And I'm not a liar.
Right.
So that wasn't something I could continue doing. So I had to, take a good look around. Is this where I wanted to spend the rest of my career doing, and make that decision? And I decided I want to do what I believe is right for children, what I can control, and without all the excess, and provide meaningful services to students to realize progress.
But you mentioned the asterisk, the big asterisk, inclusion asterisk when done correctly.
Right. Yes.
right? Because I think that is the big,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, I fought for inclusion for my child and discovered that they didn't always know how to do it.
Correct.
And that a lot of times it was this, we're gonna learn together kind of a thing, which can be like, it's exhausting. And a lot of times it meant that I was in full battle regalia, right?
Right.
But one of the things that I found that was really helpful was when they didn't get it done, that I brought him to you.
Correct.
Instead of fighting with them about the fact that they weren't getting this taught to him, we got into the mode of just solving the problem. How do we teach it to him then? And when we brought him to Andrea, he got it. And that set him up for the big success that he's in. Because we came to you with math. My child was a math person, and then we hit the skids with a teacher who was right? And I hope she's watching, because I have words for her.
Yeah.
But she, was horrible and not teaching him, and his self-esteem went, right? And he got behind.
Right.
And now he's behind, and the thing that he was good at, he couldn't do. So for a very short period of time, we brought him to you, and you got him not only back to where he was, filled his self-esteem bucket so that he believed that he could do it, and he was back on track, and he's getting an A in honors math in 11th grade.
So fabulous.
Honors math, it's like, I don't even know, like they show me the problem, I can't even Google it now. I'm like, I don't even know what is that symbol? I've never seen that before. That's like Einstein math. But he's there and doing that because you set him up for that.
I am so glad to hear that, and thank you for your confidence and trust in what
Thank you.
And he's fabulous, and I've seen him, recently, and he's such a brilliant young man, and it's those are the rewards, those are the reasons why, and when you do what you love, and it's not like work, right? I love what I do, and I love the students, and I'm okay saying that, although I'm not that fuzzy, I have very clear boundaries.
Oh, you're all business.
Oh, I'm all business.
She is all business, because I've also arrived early and heard you finishing up with other kids too. So I've stalked and heard she's brilliant, but it's that thing of, so you're in school and you're in the inclusion program, and if something isn't happening, and sometimes as parents we go, and we keep talking to the school about it, and we just keep getting further behind. But to say, no, I'm going to keep you in inclusion, because then they start going, well, I think he should go to special day class then, because he isn't able to keep up with the whatever, and it couldn't possibly be that you're not teaching him effectively.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
that's
not it. Right. So there are modifications. And it's also true that if a student, and what often happens actually, let me backstep a minute, in an inclusive environment, they'll give them work.
Yeah.
And it'll be at their level.
Yeah.
Okay. But it won't have any context to what the rest of the class is doing. Big mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not what inclusion is.
Yeah, that worksheet mentality.
Yeah. So if you get the materials, and here's the it's really not rocket science. You need the lesson plan 2 weeks in advance, so that you could properly modify or accommodate, depending on the IEP. You can modify or accommodate the lesson so that the student is doing the same vocabulary or hearing the same vocabulary in context. That's proper inclusion.
So does the parent ask for the lesson plan 2 weeks in advance and then show them how to modify it if need be? Or are you talking about the teacher should be doing it?
The teacher should be doing it in conjunction with the resource specialist. But I don't think there's even a lot of communication between those two people, let alone, actual planning. I think there's a lot of fly by, your seat kind of stuff.
That would be a very empowering thing to go into, because I think a lot of times we don't know what to do with a resource person.
Right.
It becomes a place where the child goes away to get a break a lot of times, right? But if we were in an IEP and said in the IEP, by the way, can we write it in that we want the resource specialist to get the lesson plan 2 weeks in advance and provide modifications back to the teacher, because that's something you could check.
Correct.
Would they implode if you asked for that?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but let's make them implode.
Well, exactly, but I think, or we can get the textbook, or but a lot of times, and I have discovered this along the journey, doing just that and asking for lesson plans in advance, and then the resource specialist is saying, oh no, they're right at the same, at the same spot, And I said, okay, then there should be no reason not to just transfer them back into Gen Ed then.
Right.
And come to find out, through the IEP process, find that they're out of compliance on their IEP because they never changed the IEP offer of FAPE, so he was in the wrong class.
Right.
But that's besides the point. So get him into the class. Come to find out, they're on Chapter 3, the classroom's on Chapter 25.
Right.
I just, there's no explanation for it. And it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
Because they lied to me, clearly, and lied
Right.
to the family, and what they were doing and what they were saying are completely two different things.
Yeah.
So there is I can support, I have done observations, include me on emails sometimes helps. And I will give information or suggestions on how to layer certain things. I'm willing to share. I just want the child to get the best result possible.
Yeah.
So I'm not like trying to hoard information.
So for parents who are watching who aren't in the LA area and aren't going to have the benefit of you, but there are other people, I would like to think, we can't clone you, but there are other people who do the work that you do in different places. They could look for somebody who, what do you call yourself, an education specialist?
An educational consultant that provides educational services.
Okay.
Right.
But then they can also empower themselves to go into the IEP and fight for inclusion. And sometimes it is a fight, right? But the law is on your side.
Correct. The burden of proof is on them. Now, there are some stipulations in the law that suggests that, based on, I think there's 4 points, one being disruptive. That's why on an IEP, I'm very careful when they do the behavior support plan that they make sure if they have evidence that he's disruptive to other students, and that's a conversation. But if not, then that box should not be checked. It's a very sly move on the IEP, for LAUSD anyways.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
because we're always telling people, make sure if there is a behavior intervention plan that it is checked, that's attached to it, because that becomes part of the legal argument. And you're saying that works against them to stay in inclusion.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the reasons is disrupts other students. So if they can take data.
So just that box, not the BIP and altogether, but just
the one,
disrupts others.
There's 4 boxes at the top of the behavior support plan.
Got it.
And, lacks work production, or the need for the intervention.
Okay.
And then and one of the choices is disrupts other students.
I see.
If it is part of the conversation and he there is evidence and data to support
right. Then we got to work on that.
Then you got to work on that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, because they check a lot of boxes just as a kind of automaticity rather than thought. So, but it's just a strategy to, so that therefore, if there is a movement, number one, you need an assessment to move, right?
Yes.
So when they make suggestions on moving to an SDC class, the other follow-up question is, based on what assessment have you assessed?
Yeah. And they will, and because I know, I've had this conversation, they will say some stupid stuff. And that's why I always encourage people, have a tape recorder.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Have a tape recorder.
It's a good strategy.
Because I have heard some people say some ridiculous stuff.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's very important to, but some parents don't want to do it. They're afraid.
Yeah, well.
And they're afraid because they're leaving their child, so they really
want to stay on the good side.
Yes, there's a lot of that, and I'll get, because I can wear many hats, and sometimes parents want me to go in and really get what they deserve, and as far as be on top of it. And other parents are like, oh, I just want to, dance around softly. And I say, squeaky wheel gets through.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. Unfortunately, they're in crisis management.
Yes.
And so they're putting out fires first and the easier files. And they have discussions before IEPs. Oh, don't worry. This is an easy one. They don't ask any questions. They just sign. So we plan our schedules accordingly because we have to estimate how many IEPs we could do on that day.
Sure.
So there's a lot of backdoor conversations about easy parents versus more.
And you don't want to be counted in the easy thing.
No, because you're not going to get all of the services that you can.
That your child deserves.
And entitled to. And whatever progress your child is capable of making, that's the progress that your child is entitled to have.
That's right.
And if you do nothing, you're going to get nothing.
Amazing. Well, we're out of time, but I do want to say, for those of you who are worried about being the squeaky wheel, what I did was I went in, I was kind, I was reasonable. I didn't ask for like things that were unreasonable, right? But I knew my stuff, and that's what I asked for. But then I went and volunteered all the time.
That's a good idea.
Like I would show up and go, you need somebody to cut and paste and do whatever, so I volunteered so that they couldn't just label me a troublemaker. I was also supportive.
Right.
And if you're worried about them, go and volunteer at your child's school. Find the thing that they need and do that.
Correct.
I directed the school play.
Oh, yes.
Because I was like, I'm going to come in and I'd be there. And then they know, okay, this person is okay. She's really on her kid's side, but, this person is involved in here and not just a complainer. But we're out of time. You have to come back.
Quick. That was quick.
I know, and we do, and so you have to come back. See how much fun it is.
It was fun.
Took me forever to talk her into coming and being with you, but now you'll have to come back.
Yes.
But thank you, and again, it's I learn to learn
Academy.
.com,
and I'm in Tarzana, or you could just Google my name, Andrea Watkins, MSED.
And she has my personal stamp of approval. She was so helpful to us and to my kid, and long lasting. So thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. It was
so
my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, we have to take a break, and then there it is. I Learn to Learn Academy. We have to take a break, and then we're going to be back with Bob DeMarco and a wonderful guest. So stick with us. That was really great.
Hi, Lisa Ackerman back with Talk of Facts. Questions, real life questions and answers for the autism journey. Oh, are you ready for this one? Talk to me about puberty. So what I would recommend is, first and foremost, is the kids that have done the therapeutics, the medical, and the dietary allergen removal interventions tend to have an easier time at puberty. Seizures are really common for children on the spectrum, more than neurotypical populations, and they're especially most common right at or about puberty time. So it's extremely important, even if you have a 10-year-old, that you've already done an EEG, that you consider before they go through puberty to get a second EEG done. Just because you have one clean EEG with no abnormal brain activity or seizure activity, you need to do another one prior to puberty. That's one of the most common calls we get with teens on the spectrum, is they are often experiencing a seizure for what their family thinks is the first time. And the third thing is, you're gonna have a teenager, so you're really gonna have to kick it up a notch on those life skills, social skills, and getting your kid ready to be that teenager they need to be. So if you're doing that baby thing, and I know you are, where you're maybe making their lunches or helping them with laundry, we need to start bouncing some chores over to those kids. And we also need to increase social environments where they can be successful. So think about it. We've got 3 really important things that we need to look at. Puberty is a very serious issue, and we take it very seriously. So make sure you have all of your therapeutics, medical, and dietary interventions in place. Consider to do another 24-hour EEG with your physician prior to puberty. And the third most important thing, get ready to raise the bar. Your job is to really get them ready for life. And I know you can do it.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hi there, I'm Lisa Ackerman. Welcome to the show. So the goal of today, we're going to make meatballs. Let's get started. So again, I'm going to take roughly a pound of my ground organic turkey, and I'm going to add in the secret vegetable. So if your kid doesn't like vegetables, don't cook in front of them, okay? Have them watch a movie or something. But you definitely want to make sure they're not watching, because then they won't eat it. So, and here we go with the egg. And our breadcrumbs. I'm just adding salt and pepper to taste. If you think about kids' shapes and sizes, you want to think small shapes, small hands. So your oven should be preheating at about 400 degrees. We're going to kick into the oven here and look at our meatballs. I did flip them halfway through the 20-odd minute. So we'll put just like Julia Child's. There's our finished product right there. These are good. Cooking is easy. You don't have to be afraid of it. But we want to hear from you. If you can let us know what recipes are important to you, maybe convert a recipe from a traditional flour or gluten-based to a gluten-free or an allergy-free, we're here to help. So you get to us, you can email us at autismlive@gmail.com. You can reach out on Facebook at facebook.com/autismlive or reach out at Taka Now. So I know you're having a great day. I had a lot of fun cooking with you in the kitchen, but I'll tell you, before we end, I gotta have more meatballs. Have a great day.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Parent to parent, having a compliant child is one of the greatest things on earth. But frequently we ask ourselves, why doesn't my child listen? Well, here are some tips to help us to get a listening, happy, compliant child. First, we want to make sure that we make compliance worthwhile. Whenever your child does something that's compliant, make sure that you praise them and heap rewards on them that are meaningful to them, things they really want. One of the things that we have to be mindful of is that if the child isn't compliant, we have to praise more often. Just heap it on. If you say to yourself, there's nothing to praise, they're not doing anything that I want them to do, then ask them to do something that they already want to do. This is a really tricky way of being able to praise them. And then, of course, the last thing that we want to do is catch them doing good things when they least suspect it. And make sure you heap that praise on, because having a compliant child is one of the best things in life. Token economies are a great way to get to good behavior with your child.
So we're going to do down dog next. So with down dog, there are several different ways that you can do it, and I want to show you first and then help you with yours so that we can work on what feels good for you, okay? All right, because there's no right way to do it. It's more about what your body likes, all right? So for me, what I'm going to do is start off with my hands at the top of my mat, my headlights. My fingers are aiming towards the top of my mat, and then I'm going to tuck my toes, and then my head is also going to drop, and I'm going to look between my toes. Okay. And my body should be, or hopefully, like an A shape.
Or V.
Or V, yes.
Upside down V.
Yep. And so if your quads are tight or your hamstrings are tight, you might need to bend your knees a little bit.
Bend it to you.
Or if your shoulders are a little strained or a little tight, remember to push in through your feet, but also sometimes what feels really good is going down on your forearms, like this. You can actually start out this way instead, it's a little easier. So your forearms rest on the floor, you still tuck your toes, and then you're still looking between your toes, but rather than being on your hands then, your weight's along your hands and your forearms. Okay? All right. So, now it's your turn. Okay? So, yep. You're gonna do on your hands? Okay, yep. So your fingers are facing the front of the mat. Or are you doing forearms? Forearms? Okay, there we go. Wow, you're very bendy. Very nice. And your gaze is right here between your toes. Excellent. Very nice, Jem. Wow. Awesome. Feet are a nice distance apart. How does that feel?
Okay.
Awesome. You want to come down? Excellent. Good. Good.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I am so excited to welcome back to the show Bob DeMarco. And you have brought your lovely guest, Trisha Allen. It's spelled Tresha, though. That's where I got all confused. And you guys have a new venture that you had asked to come and talk about, and I'm so excited because I want to know more and more about it, and it's Ability Life Solutions. Which already that sounds, because we all need solutions.
We all need solutions.
Right?
All the
time. But you guys, maybe I should have you guys talk a little bit about, because you've been on the show before. We've had you come on with a couple of different guests, from a couple of different
Carrie Bowers
yes.
and Garth and Jason from Spec Labs.
You're busy doing a lot of things in the autism community.
I have a lot of fun in the autism community.
And I love that you work with, you play well on all fields. Let's say that. And that's impressive.
I try to play well with others.
But your background is music and musician, and you're a composer, and you have credits.
I was a composer for Paramount Domestic TV for 20 years. So we did everything from hard copy to Dr. Phil and Entertainment Tonight and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's fun.
And now you're doing a lot of different things, and we're going to talk about this other. But tell us a little bit about your background, Tresha.
Well, I've been in nonprofit for over 30 years, and when I came into working with people with disabilities, it became a passion. And I have 2 grown kids. Neither of them have a disability, but they've worked. I've had both my kids work with people with disabilities. I've worked for the ARC of Ventura County, and I've also worked for New Horizons in San Fernando Valley with all disabilities. And so, working in the community with Department of Rehab and regional centers. I helped run one of the largest supported employment programs in LA County, second largest in the state of California. So I come with passion and knowledge and really just wanting to see where things were lacking and finding resources. Regional center does a great job, but there's more to offer.
Well, and what I know about Bob is that Bob is smart. Right? And so
I try to keep learning.
Bob is smart, and so I can't wait to hear about this, because I know you saw something that was missing and that needed to be filled. So what is this? What are you filling?
Well, what Tricia and I we met a few years back, and we've been working together on, we have something called Ability Travel Club, which a friend of ours, Neil Menzies, started years ago for adults with disabilities, taking them on trips and cruises and all that. And he recently passed away, and he handed it over to us and asked us if we would keep it going.
Continue, yeah.
And so we have like 40 participants on and off, and we've gone on cruises to the Caribbean and all that. So in doing all of this, I learned a lot about Tricia and what she did at ARC. And we kind of saw this big gap in resources, just simple resources. So we decided we wanted to put together a website that's video-based. So it's quick and it's easy, and you're not sitting there reading all day, because most people are very visually oriented these days. You're on the internet. Yeah. So we started the idea of just collecting all kinds of, we have tons of your clips that we've linked to YouTube. No, we love your clips. We'll always be stealing from you.
As long as it's the link to us, we want you to.
Yeah, because we want you to, get more people coming to you, and that's our goal, is just to get everybody to link into whatever resources they can. And we've just launched our site last night, and it's free. So you just go there, and it's set up in the categories, everything from dealing with the education system getting a first diagnosis, and self-care for the parents, which is critical. Huge critical. Because my son was diagnosed in 2006, and I went on the internet and couldn't find really anything. Nothing. And I was blown away. So that planted this seed, which now we started Ability Life Solutions, and you just go to abilitylifesolutions.com, and you can pull down and see all these topics. And we're going to keep expanding it, and hopefully people will give us suggestions of what they're looking for and they need, and we'll keep in closer contact with you. And
so it's like a clearinghouse for information where you can go there, one-stop shop, and find everything that everybody is doing.
And it's gathered for the community so that they can all get together, whether it's a family member or they're looking for work or just any kind of resources. Like Bob said, anything from the time they're diagnosed or something for the family, something for everybody. And it's all collaborative and collective for everybody to go to.
And we just wanted it to be really simple and really fast. Like, you have a subject you want to look up, there'll be 50 15 or 20 videos immediately right there. You can get a variety of opinions, and that's what I wish I had.
Yeah.
When my child was first diagnosed.
Absolutely.
And I've sat in so many IPP meetings over the last 20 years, and sitting in those meetings, there's either the lack of resources or the lack of finding the resources.
Yes.
And I've been a case manager and a program manager, and that's one of the things is always looking for the resources. And there's just so much more out there than just what regional centers
You're right.
have. So.
I remember a time when my son was diagnosed and people were talking about, well, there's stuff for little kids, but there's nothing for teenagers and adults. And the truth is that now there's a lot for teenagers and adults, but if you don't know where to find it, then it's the same as not having it at all.
Absolutely.
Which is a bummer.
Right.
So, okay, where do people go and what do they have to do once they get there?
You don't have to do anything. It's all free. It's abilitylifesolutions.com.
Okay.
And the goal is to keep expanding it, and we plan in the next few months to put together a larger section of it, which will become a membership site, which will have blogging and like all kinds of streaming of movies and things like that. And then we're starting to create original content. Like my son teaches yoga and meditation, and which has been great for even his younger brother.
Yeah.
The meditation and just for, self-regulation.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So we're going to be creating all of this original content, and we're going to be updating it with sections for employment and job readiness.
Wonderful.
And we're going to be starting to pull and collect with other larger organizations to, share content.
Okay.
Right, and nutrition,
Wonderful.
everything about nutrition, anything that has to do with making a better life for anybody in the family.
And we're gonna reach out to a few vendors and find some healthy foods that we can offer at a discount on the site, because you could go into Whole Foods and it's very expensive for a lot of people, and it's so we're gonna partner with a couple of companies we're just starting to talk with now, where they can either drop ship or we can get them the products, starting with snacks and things that kids just, and there's a lot of, garbage out there that really doesn't help them. And really hurts with self-regulation.
Absolutely.
MSG and things like that. It's just nuts.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, of course I've got suggestions for you.
Well, we're going to be talking.
We're open always for suggestions. Anybody that wants to come to our site and give us suggestions, we're always
some
open.
of the, over the years, because we've done a lot of recipe things, but over the years we've reviewed snacks and things like that. And so just this week, there I don't know what I was reading, but there was somebody, because I'm all about organic. Organic is pretty important to me, and they were talking about how Whole Foods has been eclipsed recently in being the largest purveyor, seller of organic.
Really?
Yeah, Costco's winning now.
Wow, that's interesting.
Isn't that very interesting?
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll have to chat about all of this.
We will chat about all of this.
I will be so interested in all of this.
You are my guru.
So, well, no, I think quite the opposite, because for a long time, I mean, let's be honest, there have been a couple of times before where people, honestly, people have said to me, okay, Shannon, you've been doing Autism Live for a while, and my thing is, there are other people doing other things too, because there's no possibility that I could cover, we do a lot of shows, but there's no possibility that we could cover everything. And there are other people who have had other shows over the years, and we've tried to support all those because we need them. And a couple of times people have tried to aggregate, but they were doing it differently than how you're doing it, and they weren't successful. And I think that, I hope that, like I said, I started with You're Smart. I think that you're onto something really great, and I hope that you guys will be able to do this because we've needed it.
Right.
And I hear that so many times in meetings, it's like, oh, we need something like that. And then anytime I was in a meeting, I said, well, what did you guys feel about a website, And that had all of everything under one umbrella. And they were so excited. They're like, oh my gosh, sign us up. Where do we go? And I said, okay, well, it's coming, but we're working on it. And it's been a work in progress for a couple of years.
And our goal with this whole ability thing is we're going to get into consulting, because Trish.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that.
Trish is going to be.
I've got little cards here, you guys, as my prompts.
One for everything.
Right, and as this self-determination comes into play.
Yes, for those of you that aren't in California, we've done a couple of shows on this. That we have the regional centers, which was was a really amazing thing because my son was diagnosed in 2006, and so we were regional center clients and got, our services through the regional center. Then there wasn't enough of that.
Right.
Couldn't be. And then we went over to insurance, but there's still regional center that they provided other things, and now we're moving to self-determination where they can pick what they want to have the money that's allotted for them spent on. It's really a very exciting time in California.
Yeah, and we're gonna be getting into consulting and helping parents navigate through that.
Yeah, what independent facilitating is, and we have all different kinds of information for that too.
So Traven tells me we have a clip.
Yeah, we made a little welcome video for it's like 3 minutes or whatever, but it describes who we are, what we're doing.
So let's take a look at the clip, shall we? Take a look.
Hi, welcome to Ability Life Solutions. I'm Bob DeMarco.
And I'm Tesha Allen.
We created Ability Life Solutions to be your family's ultimate video-based resource website for autism. Back in 2006, my son Dominic was diagnosed with autism. Like all of us after the initial shock and panic of the diagnosis, I wanted to learn as much as possible about autism. Unfortunately, there wasn't much on the web, mostly scientific, technical information, and Jenny McCarthy talking about vaccinations. All these years later, it's still difficult to find one place to go for comprehensive autism information and resources. That's why we decided to create it.
I've worked in the nonprofit field for over 35 years, including half of those years working with people with special needs and autism, working as a case manager, program manager, job coach, in both supported employment and day programs in the Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Through my experience working with families dealing with autism, I saw the frustration and lack of information, resource, and support. That's why we created Ability Life Solutions. We feel a well-organized collection of short, concise videos is the quickest and most efficient way to learn, whether it's what to do when you first get a diagnosis, types of therapy, navigating the educational system, your family's emotional well-being, to nutrition and picky eating. We'll cover it all.
In the coming months, we'll be expanding with a membership section. For a small monthly fee, you'll have access to many additional resources, including online community chat rooms, daily support blogs, personal journaling, streaming of movies and documentaries related to autism, expanded health, fitness, and nutrition sections, job readiness support for people on the spectrum, music and art therapy, as well as online shopping for educational products and healthy snacks for your family.
So please check out our free resources, including our detailed state-by-state list of available programs, organizations, and groups offering support and services in your area.
We're committed to creating the ultimate autism resource for you and your family. Please let us know if you have any suggestions that may help us improve our site. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. So great, this wonderful resource. For those of you who are just joining us, we're here with Bob DeMarco and Tesha Allen. Trish,
just call me Trish.
Tesha Allen. It's spelled with an E though, so
but I pronounce it with an I.
It will be memorable from now on. Tesha Allen, and they're from Ability Life Solutions. And if you go to abilitylifesolutions.com right now, you just launched last night. So very exciting. You can be on the ground floor, tootle around, look at all the resources that are there, avail yourself of everything. I love this. Part of the reason why, yes, we're going to get to that. Part of the reason why I wanted to do this, like you as a parent, I remember the only time I had any time was at 3:30 in the morning when my child finally went to sleep. And there was no resource for 3:30 in the morning. But the internet is great.
Yeah.
And
it's
you're
video, and it's video
Yep.
based, so you don't have to sit there and
read.
burn your eyes out reading. You can burn your eyes out looking at videos.
That's right.
That's right.
It's a better way to learn.
Yeah.
But beyond that, though, you've done something really incredible, and you have made a state-by-state resource. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we just we compiled. We had Trisha's daughter work for us over summer while she was at college, and she compiled a list of all the resources state by state for the country.
Wonderful.
And we will continue to update that. And if anybody has anything they want to share and update, that would be great too.
Always welcome for suggestions.
Wonderful. Okay, so the other thing that has always been my thing is that I would love to have a calendar of events by location. That's a huge thing.
That's
a
great.
Huge undertaking.
See?
But like if you're in San Antonio, Texas, and you're like, I want to know what autism events are, or if you're traveling and you're like, I'm going to be in San Antonio, what autism events are happening in the month of April? If you guys could make that, I would be on there every day.
All right, we will. What we'll do is we'll just start contacting people across the country, some of these resources that we have on there, and ask them to continually submit their
Wouldn't that
event
be
list.
great, you guys? Another way for audiences to find what you're doing.
See,
so
that's why we're here.
remarkable, wonderful. So, but we also mentioned there's the travel club. So if somebody heard about that and went, oh, okay, I want to be a part of the travel club, what would they do?
They could contact us at Trish or Bob at abilitytravelclub.com.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have the
I have the
website.
cheat sheets right here.
Yeah, there's an application. There's an application on the website, you know, and these are usually people that are pretty independent, that like to go traveling. They've been in supported employment, they work, they save their money, and they're really not in any kind of day programs or in a facility. So they really, this is their way to connect and go on a cruise and take some time.
And we do major trips 3 times a year, and we have monthly local things where people just get together and socialize, little day trips.
What a wonderful thing. What's the next big trip? Where are you going?
Alaska in July.
Ooh,
a 10-day cruise to Alaska.
That's beautiful.
You should come with us, do some live
right.
locations.
It's like it involves a boat and a plane, so I'll just wave from
here. We'll have you remotely.
That's right.
That's right. Well, from the studio.
You guys should Skype in from the boat.
That we will.
We can absolutely do that. But I'll be here.
Right.
That's how I am. And then for the Ability Life Counseling, talk a little bit about what that would look like and how they would contact you about that.
Well, that's something whether
Consulting, excuse me.
Yeah. Again, we'll probably refer it over to the website if there's something that they can't find or they need deeper information. I'm always available. I've always, like I said, I've done case managing, and I'm always doing research and looking for things to help people. So consulting could be anything from independent facilitating, which I'm certified in, and then it could just be asking questions or needing help and guidance in whether it could be just about anything.
Yeah, because let's face it, there are some people who are like, I want to go on the internet, I want to look it up for myself, but I want to know where to look, right? But there are other people who are like, I need somebody to give me the fast track to do that for me. I'm willing to pay for that.
Right, and
but
that's
I need somebody who's going to, like, I need some help today about this, and I don't have the time to go look, and so that's what you would do for
And
them.
even when you're going to look, if you don't know something exists, you're not going to find it.
That's right.
That's it. Well, there's a lot of things you don't know exist until somebody that is doing it daily and has the experience can say, look, you may want to consider this for your child.
Amen to that. Well, thank you guys so much
you.
for making this amazing resource.
Thank you.
And for reaching out to me and letting me know, because I told you I'm going to be on there left, right, and center. So thank you so much for that. We have gone a little bit over because we needed to, because this was too good, right? So I want to talk about a couple of things, because tomorrow on the show, it's Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Nancy Alsbaugh-Jackson is joining me. We've got 3 wonderful guests. Leah Hirschfeld's going to be here talking about research having to do with language and early language and how we can help to support that with young learners. Then we have licensed marriage and family therapist Vince Redmond is here talking with us about disappointment and how we all deal with disappointment and grief. I promise you that's going to be a great conversation. And then for the first time on the show, we have Sam Farmer, author of this great book, A Long Walk Down a Winding Road. He was diagnosed at the age of 40, and this is it's a cross between a memoir and a self-help book, because he tells a little bit about his life and what he discovered, but then there are little chunks of it where he gives advice that it's some of the greatest advice, you guys. So wonderful book. He's going to be joining us. That's all tomorrow, and then we hope you'll join us next week for our fabulous lineup. That's all for today. Until tomorrow, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.